Hi YouTube, how's it going? It's Clarice and it's time for another Red Check talk with Clarice. So I watched Baby Reindeer about 3-4 weeks ago, it had premiered on Netflix. And since then it's gone from 0 to 10,000 in terms of the real life Martha has been outed through people on the internet who have found out who she was, where she lived, and she's been receiving death threats and has been tried by the court of internet opinion. Now, originally when I watched it, I was going to do a Red Chair talk about what it's like to be stalked. I myself have been stalked much lower level than the Martha and Stephen Gadd scenario that is presented in the show, as written by him, as script written by him. But I have had some situations where I was stalked twice previously by a male and a female. And I wanted to do a little offshoot on that. I was preparing to do that, where I would talk about not humanizing or demonizing the stalker, but talking about how it can feel to be stalked. So the feelings of lack of self-autonomy and security and what it can do to personal esteem, and various offshoots of emotions and behaviors around being stalked. So I was preparing a Red Chair talk for that, but then when I saw that Martha, who is Fiona Muir-Harvey in real life, was on the Piers Morgan show, and she was talking about how she'd received death threats. The people, she doesn't name the people, and they've remained somehow anonymous, had stalked her. Oh, sorry, scrap that. Had outed her. She's a stalker, and she's actually on record as being a stalker. She has a history of these things. I was a little bit taken aback that people felt the need to stalk her and find out where she lived, to send her death threats, and to force her to actually go on an international platform such as the Piers Morgan show that has thousands, tens of thousands of viewers, and also on his YouTube channels, his Instagram, to make comments about her, to vilify her, and to basically muck with someone who is basically, she's not mentally well, guys. Now, this is by no means, when I say this, downsizing or downplaying what she does when she has any sense of emotional attachment or feels that her emotional investment in what she perceives to be a connection with someone, male or female, in her life, how she behaves. She is plainly a woman who has either never had any sort of psychological therapy and help, or she has had it at some point in her life and has been resistant emotionally and practically to developing herself and getting rid of those triggers and habits that make her a stalker, those emotional crutches. During the interview, now I'm not going to go too much into the detail of Baby Reindeer if you haven't seen it, but it starts around the real life experiences of Stephen Gadd. Stephen Gadd is a comedian and he's also a script writer. So he's a script writer, but it goes into a time when he was struggling as a comedian and a script writer. And it's over maybe 18 months, 2 years. It doesn't quite give an exact timeline to the finish of this. But what happens is he's working in a pub in London, and this lady comes in who is plainly sad and very, very down. Now he's going through a period of depression himself because he's not making much headway in his career. He has a broken relationship and he's living with his mother, sorry, his ex-girlfriend's mother, not his mother, in London, and he's living there rent free because the mother has lost a son, and she allows the ex-boyfriend who has moved out of her home to fill the gap. So he's not doing so well in himself. He's not satisfied in his career. He's not satisfied in his personal life relationships, and he's doing what the typical busking performer would do, and that is pull pints, or they work in stores or shops or whatever they can do to keep some money in, so that they have money to train and money to go to auditions and be available and to do shows, to hone their craft, and to develop their skill set, to develop their talent. So this lady Martha comes in. She's plainly upset. Says she has no money for a drink when he asks her, "What can I get you?" And he senses that she's looking like she's on the verge of tears. And in fact, Jessica Gunning, who plays Martha, does an amazing job of Martha, of the real life Martha. Actually, she has the same physicality. She has the same accent. Jessica Gunning is an amazing character actress, and her ability to make accents, to create accents in her characters is unbelievable. And I do think that there was some self-disclosure maybe of recordings and emails sent to Jessica to help her prepare this character, because how she was found could only be based on the emails that are shown in the show, some of the voice recordings that were also shown in the show of Martha as things escalate between them, and Jessica having maybe privy to those, and I'm presuming Netflix did too. Now, she must have been fairly easy to find. This is one of my biggest concerns about the Netflix show, and then how it transpired that Martha got outed, and that the real life Martha had to step forward to protect herself. It's quite a serious thing. I don't think Netflix did enough safeguarding around the character. The character of Martha has a Scottish accent, as the real life Martha has a Scottish accent. As I said, very similar physicality, extremely similar, even down to the inflection of accent. In Scotland, there is a multitude of Scottish accents, in the way that there is degrees and multitudes of New Zealand and Australian accents, part of the world I'm from. So hers is quite I would say, more refined Scottish accent in some ways. And the similarities in the careers. Martha says she's a lawyer. She's got a law degree from Scotland, some university in Scotland. And Fiona, in the interview, says she's also got a law degree. So there's so many similarities, between Martha and Fiona, that I don't think it was difficult to find her and to track her down, whoever took it upon themselves to do so. As I said, when you see the interview, if you don't watch the show, but you can access the Piers Morgan interview on YouTube, you will see that this woman, she says several things that you think, okay, this late, I can understand now how serious it got for Stephen, but also that in some ways she was handled sympathetically when she should have been handled maybe in a more direct way. But if you do watch the show, if you're aware of the show or have seen the show, you will see that he kind of needs her fandom, as it were, at that time in his life. If you get to watch the show or you watch excerpts on YouTube, you will see it's almost like a codependent relationship. It's symbiotic. one feeds off the other. He does play into her fangirlness and crushing on multiple occasions, flirts with her, even though he feels like he's not comfortable with the emailing, he's not comfortable with the phone calling, he's a little bit reluctant to meet her outside of his work life, his pub scenario where he can buy her a drink and there's allowance for the bartender and client, scenario, in the same way that hairdressers will have banter with their clients. It's quite normal. So it goes beyond that. It leaves that bubble. It leaves the workplace scenario. And he allows that because at some point he could have said no. He doesn't, because he needs that fangirl and crush feeling from her, that someone, even though he's struggling as an artist, as a performer, he's struggling in his life, she feels a need in him, a want in him to be desired, to be attractive, to be funny, to be. So there's a symbiotic relationship. Not blaming him. Having done research on some of the interviews and articles where he talks about Martha and his relationship, he's got a little bit of damage going on himself. So when she walks in and asks for that drink, it's a perfect storm. So she goes on Piers Morgan because she is outed. She's receiving death threats. Now, that was one of the first questions that Piers Morgan asks her. Why have you come on the show? Because she volunteered to go. She didn't, she didn't get invited to go. Watch it. It's fascinating. But she does tell some really big whopper lies. For example, she's saying she's got a photographic memory. And then when he asks her, Piers Morgan asks her, what was her stats? What was her, did she, when she went for her degree, what were her stats? What did she end up with her grades? She says she can't remember. Well, sadly, that's not the sign of a photographic memory. The other thing she says is that, excuse me, I'm talking off the cuff. It's an amazing interview, but that's one of the biggest examples of her telling lies. So she says a lot of things to make herself a little bit more important than what she actually is. But her saying that she was outed, her saying that she received death threats on the internet from internet people, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. I would actually believe that. I don't think she came forward, as some people are saying, to go, in a narcissistic way, look at me. I'm Martha. I'm that person. Because even since then, she's actually put a statement out saying that this is affecting her mental health. And that's quite a serious thing, because plainly this is a lady who should be handled with kid gloves. And it brought up an issue in my mind about this cancel culture, and how people on the internet, for whatever reason, will take after people, will dox them, will shout them down for having a different opinion to them, will take it upon themselves to go, look at me, I found the baby reindeer, Martha. I found baby reindeer's Martha. This is great. The social cred, the internet cred, the self-aggrandizement of being that person, when Stephen Gadd said himself that he didn't want people to go looking for her. He knows how fragile this woman is, even with what she did to him. Even though there's a certain amount of damage in himself, which he admits to. Again, you've got to do your research on this, guys. Don't take baby reindeer, and don't take her crazy Piers Morgan interview where you think, wow, okay, this lady is crazy. And she confirmed it without even trying to confirm it. I don't think it was right a woman like this was outed, and I don't think it was fair. And This is my opinion. You may disagree, but this is the kind of thing that can really break someone who is broken enough. Who is broken enough. If anything, if anyone who was watching that show, whose business was it of anybody's but her family and her social circle? You know, where are they? They've not come forward. There was one story about her nephew, I think it was, on Facebook, saying this and confirming that, and then that turned out to be false. That was actually a fake account. It was a puppet account, someone pretending to be her nephew. This is rubbish. Why is everyone leaping on the bandwagon with someone who she needs help? She has seriously got a problem. She has a history of stalking. She stalked a woman who owned a law firm just after her graduation from university, her law degree. She was, after maybe a few days or a few weeks, she was actually asked to leave the law firm because she was impossible to work with. And this started a barrage that went on for 5 years of texting and calling and criticizing her husband and saying terrible things. She even turned round, Fiona even turned round and said about the woman that she was harassing and stalking that she was in her car and turned around and punched her own baby daughter. Well, the baby daughter was in her car seat. So this is a lady that can really take things to the extreme. Now, there was some sort of restraining order put against her. I don't know if it went to court or not. Fiona does talk about it in the Piers Morgan interview, so I suggest, even if you haven't watched the series, or even if you don't know anything about the case, watch the Piers Morgan, because you will hear stories from her mouth. She actually tries to downplay this, but it is online. It has been written up by journalists and newspapers. And the lady, the woman who had it done to her, actually came forward and said, I'm worried about what baby Reindeer has done in terms of triggering this woman again, because her name got, and her husband, who is now deceased, got brought into the mix. So there's repercussions to being this online person who wants to stalk and dox people. I'm saying the word stalking because you'd have had to have done a bit of research. Even though Netflix didn't do a great deal in terms of safeguarding, I mean, they could have made her another nationality, for example. Could have made her Australian, right? They could have made her Scottish. Sorry, she is Scottish. She could have made her Welsh. Yeah? They could have made a few maybe foundational differences so that people didn't start pointing the finger and then go looking for her. And you know what? This is what happens in the internet world now when people are cancelled. When people are kicked into touch. It gets vile and it brings in trolls. Trolls that could potentially push people who were already on the edge to doing something like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And make themselves not just necessarily a danger to themselves, but a serious, life-threatening problem to others. We've got to change our mindset. This has opened up a whole thing for me, whole issues of, as I say, cancel culture, doxing people, chasing them mercilessly over maybe a flippant comment they may make online, offering a difference of opinion. She's a slightly different level, but she's a part of this world. She's part of this cancel culture where everyone thinks it's okay. Sometimes it does good. Sometimes it catches a criminal. My other issue with the repercussion of the Baby Reindeer series is that there's a character in there. As I said, I can't give you too much of a synopsis. I'm talking about cancel culture and doxing people and the keyboard warriors that think it's okay to do so. But there's a character in there, a male character called Darian. Darian is in the world of television. He's a scriptwriter, and Stephen Gadd's character meets him up in the Edinburgh Festival where he attends one of his shows. He's really struggling to make his mark and to hone his craft. And Darian offers to help him with some pointers how to relate to people on stage, how to write some scripts, how to do a joke, how to create a good punchline and keep your audience engaged. He gives them some tips. And then he gets him as an apprenticeship or an internship, which in other words is working for free. Very, very common. Very, very common in the entertainment industry, especially for those trying to make it and get on the ladder, to get themselves some skills, get themselves some noticed, get themselves noticed. He offers him some, can you look at my script and write me some lines? For nothing, for no payment. Then he starts to invite him to his house. Then he starts to get him high on drugs. It's typical full-on grooming behavior. Now, he's about 25 years older than him. He's in the world of television, very, very, I would say, well-known. No one has doxed him and outed him. These people, these warriors that want to be like, I'm righting a wrong here, or whatever their motivation is, whether it's maybe getting some social media cred or whatever it is, hasn't outed him. I don't know if I can say the word on YouTube, he abuses him while he's high in the Netflix show. Him while he's asleep on drugs, these drugs he's given him. Now, before anyone says he took the drugs and he went there, this lad, as he was at this time, he was early 20s. He's struggling. He's plainly got some emotional issues, which the real life Stephen Gadd admits to. He's plainly taken advantage of. I think he's more of a threat than the Martha. Because in the series, and it says it's based on a true story, and I think there is it says it says based on a true story, sorry. And then at the end it says that it's not factual, not all of it's factual. But he's the real issue. This predator in the world of entertainment, British entertainment, going around grooming young, ambitious men wanting to get ahead and make something for themselves. Martha gets sworn off when he finally goes to the police. Eventually, there is a situation where it's like the police take him seriously. But it takes a while because the onus is on the stalkie and not the stalker to gather proof. And that's why I said I'm going to do another chat. I'm a bit rambling about this. But my issue was with Darian's, not with Martha. She's as, go and watch the Piers Morgan interview. She needs help. And how it's transpiring at the moment, she's not got the help she needs. It's just pile on pressure on someone who's, You'll have to watch. It's really horror. And the horrifying thing is, to me, is that people think this is okay to dox people like this. This is not good. This is not good. And so they went for the easy pickings rather than go for someone like Darian, who was a real issue and a real predator. So I think we need to change our mindsets a bit and get out of this cancel culture and, internet stalking and doxing attitude that some of us have, and we need to speak up for it. It could happen to anybody. There's not so much sympathy from me for this lady. She is an adult. She's in her 50s, late 50s. She probably at some point, the penny could have dropped that she has a obsessive personality. At the least. And as I said, she's either had therapy in the past and has resisted its help, resisted doing the work to help herself, or she's never sought it. And those chickens have now come home to roost, and she's found herself in a real situation that she can't cope with. But the other chap, Darian, whatever his name is, Darren, that character, whoever he's based on, he needs to be named and shamed. You went for the easy pickings, guys. You went for the easy pickings. Someone that lives in your street, someone that lives in your city, someone that lives in your suburb. I don't think it's right. This is a really long talk. I thought I'd do this in about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. So I'm thinking we need to change our mentality and our mindset towards, outing people, publicly shaming them, vilifying them, demonizing them maybe for comments they made 10 years ago. I don't understand what the point is of doxing someone who has plainly got serious mental health issues, and we don't know how close they are to the edge of doing something to themselves or doing something to others. This is real life. This is not just a television show. So I'm going to leave it there. I probably could have gone on for ages. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more about cancel culture, but the baby reindeer for me was a little bit of a catalyst, and not the show itself, but the fallout from it. That she was doxed and threatened like she was the devil. This is someone with serious mental health problems, and you don't have to be a psychologist or a therapist of any description, a counsellor to work that out. Go and watch the Piers Morgan interview. Absolutely fascinating. I'd be quite interested to find out who this predator in the world of entertainment, Darian, is. Nobody has come forward with a suggestion about who he could be. Okay, guys, this is a very long and very heavy chat. Red Chair Talk. So I might talk about my initial thoughts on Baby Reindeer, which was about equalising and humanising a bit what it feels like to be stalked. Because I thought that was quite an interesting thing initially, but as I said, in the last 4 weeks, it's all blown up. And it's gone from 0 to 10,000, super fast. But I would highly recommend that you check out the Piers Morgan interview if you've not seen the show or not heard about the show or what it's about. Okay, well, that's the Red Chair Talk for today, and I know it's been a while, so I'm going to try and be more consistent. If you agree, if you disagree about how my opinions on the court of public opinion on the internet, about doxing people on the internet and the kangaroo courting that goes on, the cancel culture that goes on, please, make a comment. I really appreciate it. And it creates an interesting dialogue, right? So take care of yourselves, be good to yourselves, and be good to others. Bye. Bye for now. Bye-bye.